All right. Hey, episode number 28 of Nobody Told Me. I'm Cashflow Mike. Cashflow Mike is Mike Mylan, and I'm with Blaine Birch of Dry Run. Blaine, how you doing?
Doing terrific. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm super. Can you believe just this past weekend we were together?
Yeah, I know. We were sitting on the patio having a beer, laughing away, and then I was just saying before we got on the show here that my wife said after, "Did you guys get a picture with each other?" Which would have been really nice for the website. Of course, no, we sat there drinking instead. Never even thought of it.
Yeah, we sat there and drank. Right. I mean, and your backyard is beautiful, man. You got the fire pits, you got the heater. I mean, it's Arizona. We even heard the coyotes fight.
They're right past the fence. We got a big wash behind us for people that don't know. And so we got all these animals, critters always back there, javelinas and coyotes and road runners and stuff running by the fence all the time. And and those coyotes get pretty loud sometimes. Though that one night, I think you'd hear them probably came through the house. They were so loud. So
yeah, that was funny. So yeah, isn't that funny? We got in so much conversation that nobody even thought to take a picture.
Never even thought of it. And then we dragged our 50-inch TV out onto the patio the other day to watch the Super Bowl, which was a really fun time actually. So that was really good. Used the heater up by evening. It cools off after the sun goes down. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, great time. Great. You've got just a great little family there. And I really enjoyed being with you and your wife.
Yeah, really you as well, man. It was so much fun meeting you guys in person and being able to visit and have a fun time. So, and now we're back on video.
Yes. Now we're back on. So there's no photographic proof that we've ever met.
No, I don't think there is.
so people listening are like, "Oh, these guys never met." They're just bullshitting. They're just telling us they did.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, just so everyone knows, like, we've known each other for a few years now. It's just that we've never been in the same city somehow, which is kind of weird, but
yeah, that's so crazy. Cool. But now we have matching shirts, right? We have some matching shirts. If you don't know it, we actually, because this isn't a business, this is a hobby. This is just two guys that want to talk, but somehow we built a store and you can go buy shirts, you can buy mugs, you can buy stickers, any of that stuff. Go to mikeandblaine.com and it'll say shop merch. So if you want Mike and Blaine merch, go get it today.
And the cool thing is, everyone wants something that's really unique. Like, so that's what makes everything precious. That's what makes an NFT precious.
Yeah.
Buy one of our shirts because you'll be like the only one outside of Mike and I right now that has a shirt. So it'll be like really worth a lot.
Rare to see a shirt.
It'll be like an NFT price shirt. Like you buy it from us and now it'll be worth $1 million because it's you'll be the only one wearing it. You'll be just the new cool kid on the block.
Hey, but downloads are going up, right? I mean, so we got to be doing something right. I mean, so downloads are going up. So much so we built some merch. You know what hasn't happened? And this surprises me, right? Yeah. It hasn't happened yet. What do you think?
Oh, no one's bought us a beer yet.
No one's bought a beer. Come on. What are you guys talking about? Speaking of beer.
You're right. Like and we get more and more people listening, but they're not. And the shirts are brand new. So granted, no one will know they're up there, but the beer's been up there for a few weeks. So somebody's got to come and buy us a beer and we'll just keep begging.
I'm gonna get a plant. I'm gonna get a plant just so we can celebrate.
Whatever works, man. This is
you got to celebrate little wins, even in business. You got to celebrate your little wins, right? Sure. In our first beer, that would be an awesome little win.
Huge win. That'll be a huge win. That's not a little one. That's a big, massive Super Bowl sized win.
And it's only $5, right?
Yeah,
it's only $5. So, hey, speaking of beer, I chose something really cool this week. All right. So if you don't know anything about San Antonio, right after Mardi Gras is a huge citywide party they call Fiesta.
Okay.
Right. And it's just, it spans like a week and a half, week or 2 weeks or something like that. And it's little parties all around the city. Right. So, I mean, it's celebrating, the culture and the community of San Antonio. And to celebrate that in advance, I brought Viva, right, from the San Antonio Brewery. And if you look at these little flags, they hang everywhere in the city, every neighborhood, nice. Everything like that. They hang them all around. It's a great community, great, public event. They got a thing called an oyster bake. right? If you hadn't had that,
Nice.
and that's one of the most popular events is the oyster bake. And they also have, and where I got Courtney's ring from, J Green Jewelers here in town. Uh, they got it's a contest. It's called I don't know, Feo Ray or something like that. Yeah, Feo Ray or Ray Feo. Well, it's the Ugly King.
Okay.
So the king's somebody ugly, I guess.
Nice.
And it just so happens the jeweler that I've met several times and talked to and laughed with, he's won that thing several times, and there's like a big, almost life-size photo of him in his garb and his crown and his jewelry, and he was King Feo or Feo Ray for several years, and well, he looks like he should be. I'm just kidding you, Mr. Green. Don't take it out on me.
Well, it's probably a terrific promo for him, especially multiple years in a row. So that's good for him.
Yeah, it's funny. So hey, cheers and Viva, Viva.
Cheers. I'm going to take a sip and then tell you what I'm drinking. So I went to the fridge and I thought, what do I feel like today? And I found I just felt like I know I drink a lot of stouts, but this is an oatmeal stout from Upslope, and Upslope is Boulder, Colorado. Mm-hmm. Says limited release. I don't know. It doesn't seem like oatmeal stout would be that limited, but with these guys, apparently it is. But a really nice stout, and it's not one of the typical 10%ers I usually have. It's like 5%, and it's really nice. So this is a good brewery, Upslope. So this is a nice one to give a try.
Yeah, right on. Well, cool. Well, cheers. So here's what we're talking about today. Haven't told anybody this yet. I guess that we got involved with other things, but I want to talk about what it's really like to be the owner, to be the guy or the girl that's running their business, because I got this thing that I learned. It's a statement that I learned when I was a state trooper, and I've carried it all the way through because I think it relates to small business ownership. And when I was a trooper, the thing they beat into my head at the academy was the eyes of the public are always upon you, right? You always got to be cognizant of people seeing what you do, what you say, what you look like, who you are. And that's what I'm talking about today, is that you always have to be on stage. When you go to work, you're on, right? So anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think it's absolutely true that you have to be, because you have to be on for, your clients, your team, your staff, for, like the community, everywhere you are, you have to be on, but that doesn't mean fake. You want to be, like legit, be real, but you can't sort of be a shrinking violet. You have to be, you have to lead sometimes, even when you don't want to lead. You have to be really lively sometimes when you don't feel like you want to be lively with the team. You got to be, sometimes you got to push, sometimes you got to do this, but you always have to be on. It's hard to sit into the background, right?
Well, I mean, here's what I think we mean by that, right? I mean, your customers see you and they do business with you because we like to do business with people that we like. Or your employees are motivated, they're encouraged, they stay on task because they see that they have a leader that cares, is compassion, those type of things, right? So it's that, but then the outside world too, even people that don't know you, you're still a reflection of your business. Yes. Right. So you always got to kind of be, I can't be an idiot when I walk out into the public. I mean, exactly. I do that naturally anyway, but I'm not supposed to be an idiot when I go into the public. At least not wear my garb when I'm out there.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's even more so when you're at like events, like conferences and things like that, because now you're really under the microscope, a big badge on, and people know who you are, and they maybe seen you on stage, and you just have to be always representing the business and always representing it well. But conversely, I don't know always, but how often do you go into a little restaurant or bar or store and you can tell when it's the owner? Mm-hmm. You can tell they have a different, give a shit factor. Like you can just tell they care. They're glad you've come in there. It's just, sometimes you can just go like, yeah, I want to talk with you because I know you're the owner and I just want to hear how business is going, right?
Well, and I always kind of, I don't know, I like talking to the owner. I like getting that.
I love it.
A little bit of attention. I don't know what it is. I always like to know that, oh yeah, I know the guy that owns that place, or those type of things. And here's what happened to me though when I ran restaurant bars, is that you have to be careful too, because it happened to me. So I'm telling you this as caution, is that even though you're on stage, I don't think you want to become a character in the play.
Yes.
And here's what I mean by that. When I would go to work, when I go to the bar, and I'm either checking on the receipts or the inventory or those type of things, if I walked in and I didn't take a lap around the floor and around the bar and say hi to people that I recognized and vice versa, they felt slighted. Like, what's up his ass today? He can't say hi. He can't, I'm not important enough. I don't spend enough money here. They'd make these comments.
Yeah.
So I had to make it a habit of every time I went in, that before I talked to anybody, I had to make sure that, I talked to anybody that I recognized on the floor.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing, right? Because I had become a character in the play. They came there and I was part of their entertainment.
Yeah.
They felt the good. They got that little lift when, Mike came by and said hi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's debate, is that good or bad? Because I felt that it was an obligation to my job that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, no, I could see that. And what's interesting is I see that more down here in the States than in Canada. Like I'll seek out the owners, like, where I can tell them like, hey, you own this place, you own this bar, like this brewery, because I love to chat with other entrepreneurs. But I find in Canada, it's like, you got to go to the same place, like usually 1,000 times before they start to recognize you, even if they do recognize you, before they'll acknowledge you. It's like, don't want to here. I'll go into a place, and if I go in the second time, they're like, hey, welcome back. And, it's a different sort of pressure here, I think, with that than in Canada, just because culturally it's a little bit different. But I could see that as it's a bit of a blessing and a curse, because if you're talking with people all the time, you're seeing them all the time, that attracts them, I imagine, to come back. But if you ever miss them, that could leave a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah, because it's an emotional shift. I get the lift when they're there, and I get oh yeah, I don't see them anywhere. I get kind of disappointment when they're not. Where maybe in Canada they don't do it because they're like, hey, we just want you to like the place. Not me. I'm not a character in the play. That's what I mean by that. You don't come here to see me. You come here because you have good food, or you have a great service, or you like something else about my business. Yeah. But I don't know that that's all bad, because I have had some great experience where people are really good at it. And what I ended up doing was hiring a chef that loved to work the floor. Right. So when he got little breaks, when the kitchen was either on break, a slower period, or he got people moving, he was on the floor working the floor, and he loved to be the character in the play. And I liked it too, that he was that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's there. Like, I remember there's a place in Edmonton that, when I was growing up, they had the owner of the place he was beyond a character. Like, everyone went to see him, kind of, because he's always at the front door. He was always seating everybody. He was loud and brash and talking with everybody that came in the door. And that was his role. And that's why their place, like a big part of it, why they were full all the time, because there's this big personality there. But you see that more here than in Canada, for sure. And it's a different, like I said, it's kind of might be nice, but it's not very friendly compared to here. And so I think it's a little bit of a culture thing, but I think it feels to me like the benefits outweigh the downside of a business owner being able to at least be a little bit on stage, whatever they're comfortable with, because I think that probably helps draw in those repeat customers and buy you some loyalty.
Yeah, it just, you have to know you're taking on that role, right? And that has to become part of your job duties, is being that guy. So or being that girl. My thing is that I wasn't prepared for that. It was pushed on me, and I thought, I thought I just was friendly, but I became a character.
Yeah,
right? I became the guy that you came to see. Which is very flattering. It's like, oh man, that really makes me feel good that we can bring people in there, just because I could, as Facebook had started to to blow up in Twitter, I could say, hey, heading over, because I own 3 of them, I'm going to be here tonight. And I could see some people that I would see at one night, they'd be over there in another bar.
Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. So I could see some cross pollination of customers, which I also like too, because they were all kind of a little different. They all had a different vibe. But again, I had to learn that, and I had to learn that I couldn't walk in with another mission. I couldn't walk in saying, "Oh my God, I got a stove, or I got something in the back I got to deal with. I have to make a lap first, because if they know I'm here,
gotcha.
And I didn't do that, then I got apologies to make when I do come back out."
Yeah.
Right.
I could see that. And I've never been like, I have to sort of be out there and, represent the business and stuff, but not in a, I've never owned a restaurant or something like a real service business like that. And I actually think I would struggle with that a lot more than you. I don't, I don't know if I'm like, I'm friendly enough, but I don't think I would have as easy a time as you of just like, even if I felt like I had to do it, I think it would be more of a challenge for me to be a little bit more of that center stage, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but you still have to be on. If you're interacting, if you're a person interacting, even if you don't say you're the owner, which a lot of people don't, right? And maybe it's a 50-50, but I think more people don't acknowledge themselves right away as the owner. Maybe somebody asks, maybe somebody, they find out other ways. And I never like to, just because I felt like I get better feedback. I get the real deal, right? Yeah. So sometimes I would tend bar, and then people just talk to you. I'm like, they go, "Oh yeah, that bartender was here Tuesday night. She's terrible." I'm like, "Oh really? Tell me more. Tell me more." Yeah. Boyfriend was here and fed him drinks all night, and they got drunk, got in a big fight. Yeah. I didn't know any of that happened.
Nice. Yeah. All good to know. Yeah. It's a little different with. I feel like I have to be on when I'm on Zoom. And then I can just kind of, tone it down. But you're it's but you have to be on with the staff too. That's the other side and that can be a real struggle sometimes too, because it's, as the owner, sometimes you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, or the mountain. And you have to be on, and you have to be building and encouraging, and know when do you encourage, but you still have to have that presence, I guess, right?
I mean, and what's funny is I saw a show the other day. I forget the name of it now, but The Office had one mood, people, how they interacted with each other, playful, laughing, music, those type of things. And then they knew the boss was coming in the next day, and the whole mood, attitude, productivity, everything changed the next day. Mm. So, I mean, I think you have to be aware of your impact on others. And I used to call it the emotional wake, right? So think about a boat, and it's going, and the wake that's behind it.
Yeah.
That's you. You're the boat, right? As the boss, as the owner. And when you crush through, your place of business, your employees are in the wake. If you come through bullheaded and with an attitude and with, something that's really standoffish, you're creating an emotional wake that just leaves people like this and behind you. Whereas sometimes you can just kind of coast through and create a different type of experience for folks.
Yeah. And, I think that like the thing that I try and balance out a little bit is, because I don't know if I'm the life of I'm not the life of the party guy, right? So I'm not like, that's not where my comfort zone is. But even with my team, I don't want to be the guy that comes in and is like just steamrolling everything all the time kind of thing. I need the team to have their, like, take the reins and lead some things and start the conversations and start some of the fun and start and push a little bit here and there. And because they take ownership of it. Right. And so I think there's this balancing act of like, when do you lead, and when are you the driver, and when are you the cheerleader, but when do you let them take that role and do that? Because you need that, right? It just can't be just everyone sitting and listening to the the one person chattering away, right?
Well, I think it starts with you being on the stage, and you create the vision, and really what you're trying to do is get people to buy in. Like going, yes, I want to do that, right? Whatever that is, you know, grow a huge company, you know, save businesses, save animals. I mean, it doesn't matter. That vision of the leader is the first opportunity that you have on stage in front of either old employees or new employees. This is my vision. This is what I want to do with this company. I want you to help me do this, right? I need us to do it together, right? And I think that's the first part. If the employees aren't bought in, if they're just there for a job, hey, and by the way, do you know the definition of a good job? When people tell me all the time, they go, "Oh, I just need a good job." GOOD. You know what they're talking about? It's not a career. They didn't say they want a career. They said they want a good job. They want to get out of debt job. So as soon as they're out of debt, they're going to do something that they want to do. Anyway, but that's your first chance, right? Is to sell your team on the reason we're here together is to do this one thing, right? Yeah. And like you said I think in other podcasts about, you know, your overall goals and your overall plan, it could be multiple, you know, tiered, but we all have to buy into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think you have the vision, then it starts getting down into your goals, and then you're motivating. But you're also like, you have those goals in mind, and it's like, here's the smaller goal and the priority to get to the bigger goal, to get to the big goal, to get to the ultimate goal. And to motivate and paint that picture. It's really important, because it can't just be like, it can't just be sweep and sort of big vision. It's like, okay, but how are we going to execute on that? How does the team each take up their role and run with it and sprint with it and are engaged with it?
Well, and then I think, you know, it depends on where you're at in the life cycle of your company, because I think you evolve, right? You're like, you know, you're kind of a doer, then maybe you're a manager, then maybe you're an executive, right? There's at least those three phases you kind of pass through. But you know, if you've never done the doer manager stuff, I don't think you get it on the strategic side. Like you miss
I can't see how you just start there. You have to start in the trenches, and based on experience and capability, I think you start to do more and more, right?
Well, that's part of the motivation. That's part of you know, when you're in meetings and you're selling an idea, or somebody's trying to sell you on the idea of the next project. It's about, hey, listen, you know, we tried that like 5 years ago. Here are the results. Poke holes in it. Where did I fall down? Because that didn't work. That idea didn't work. So help me, because it's still a good idea. If you came up with it and I kept up with it, 2 or 3 people coming up with the same idea, it's probably a good idea. It's executed poorly.
Yeah. It's just talking about this, and like, you're talking a little bit about like being on stage and that, and it just reminds me of the role of story. So how important story is to communicate your ideas to, whether it's to your customers, your investors, your staff, your team, your story is so critical, because it's a really effective way to, you know, it's just like you said, you're on stage, right? You're not on stage to drone. You have to motivate, you have to grab attention, and story is a really good way to do that.
Well, hey, I mean, that has been the case since the beginning of time. You learn your lesson through somebody else's story, right? and it's true. It's everything you do that you have to build the story around it. And I think experience does that, but that really gets people to buy in, because we all try to take an idea and put it in a box. I understand it if I can put it into a context that I already know, right? Some of the hardest things that like at Finagraph, trying to build a financial dashboard, is foreign to people, especially, you know, what do you mean? You're going to pull information from accounting system, analyze it, and tell me what I look like? Well, that was foreign, because people really weren't doing that on a regular basis. So they couldn't get it. They're like going, I don't do that. I just take the receipts and I put them in a bag and I throw them over to the bank, and whatever it is at the end of the month, that's what it is. That's what comes in, what goes out. Done. When you start talking about, well, this is really what it looks like to other people that know investments, other people that know banking, this is what you really look like. It's a foreign concept. So you have to tell them stories on why it's important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the easiest way to communicate. And it's also like listing facts will, doesn't care how accurate it is, it'll bore someone to tears, and they can't put it in context. The story helps put it into context. A story makes it into a case study. A story makes, like, you can relate to it, right?
Yeah. And okay, so when I built the training program, I wrapped it around the whole story. Right. Because even if you didn't understand the math, you understood the situation. And part of the story is, a 50-year-old company, guy took it over from his dad, been doing the same job for 30 years. He needs a loan. You understand what's happening in that company already, that
Yeah.
the son took it over and they're in some type of issue where they're wanting more money from the bank. So then you can tell the numbers to do that. But in order to get somebody to understand the concept, I have to be on stage, right? And you have to tell the story, and that's being on stage to get people to go, that's interesting enough to hear more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people hang around bonfires at night, right? They tell stories to one another, and we interact with one another. You're still on stage. You're just on stage in your friend group.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it's interesting as a business owner, I never would have thought of this when I was, just started my first business, and that there are a lot of times you were legitimately, like literally on a stage, and you have to be able to manage that. Like you have to be able to handle that. And so, if you're not comfortable speaking in front of groups, in front of crowds, in front of, like, if you're starting a business, it might be your first day in business, you probably want to be prepared for that, because you're going to get literally thrown in front of a bunch of people, and a lot of times on a literal stage with hundreds or thousands of people staring at you. And so it's just, it's the more formal side of it, is like that literally happens, right? And how do you prepare for that?
But yeah, exactly right. So I think I had my first introduction to that in high school, right? But what we probably all did, though, maybe even earlier than that. You get these school plays, you get these school, concerts, those type of things. At least you know what it is. You're not just walking down on stage and like, oh, hell, there's other people there.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know what it is, but you're right. And especially those type of situations, all eyes are on you. There's no other real distractions. I mean, they might play with their phone, they might do this, but they're sitting there because of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you have to take it really serious and be really succinct in telling your story.
Yeah.
And having people sit there and go, yeah, I get it. That was okay. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And be approachable and comfortable. And that takes practice. I think, like it takes practice. I don't know. At some point I just had done enough that it doesn't seem to bother me to go in front of a big crowd, but some people it really does. And practice helps. Practice would help that a lot.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've seen this happen, and I try not to be this way, but I mean, maybe I am as well. Where a person or somebody in the audience gets one perspective of you, and that's who they think that you are. And they think, so every conversation should be the way he presented, right? And then when they meet you in person, sometimes you're not that person. Maybe I'm just, regular guy having a conversation, and maybe not up, right? I'm not on stage.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of disconnect. Or you see a guy that's the same all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Which do you prefer?
I feel more comfortable with the same person on off, but it's probably a bit of my personality. I think it's what you see is what you get a little bit. If I'm going to stand up on stage, or I'm on this podcast, or I'm talking with friends, team, whatever, pretty sure it's just the same thing. I don't know if I'm that much of a performer, right?
I see that's who I would think you would be. I would think you'd be the same on that stage as if I met you in the hall. Yeah. So somebody like me, when I get on a stage, I get amped, right? I get up. I
can see that.
I'm selling from the stage. I'm telling stories. I'm big hands. I'm pointing out. I'm making points.
Yeah.
If I talk to you like that as a regular person all the time, you go, ooh, he's a little extra. He's throwing it down just a little bit. He needs to bring it back down to earth.
Well, no, but that's a good point though. Like if you're on stage, it is a really good point, because if you're on stage, you're going to probably be more effective that way, because you're trying to grab an entire crowd and you're trying to, I just don't know if I know how to do that. Right. But I think that's a really, when you say like, do you prefer it? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm sitting there in a crowd and watching it, you want that, have that connection. And maybe that's how you really can connect with people, from being on stage like that. Right.
Well, but what you said is you're the same both places, which to me would say, hey, you know what? This guy is measured. He's calm. He's logical. He's rational.
But
Right?
is that boring though too?
It doesn't have to be. Right. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Okay,
I mean, you could tell an interesting story without using inflection and, you know, big gestures and, you know, you can still be interesting that way. I mean, you know, I've listened to some of, you know, Joe Rogan stuff where he has some of the doctors and, you know, some of the, I think, what's his name? The physicist, the astrophysicist.
Oh, the guy that said Pluto wasn't a planet or whatever. That's the guy's name.
Yeah, but he has some of the smartest people in the world on his podcast.
Yeah,
and they're not extra; they're just telling a story. But the way they're telling it draws me in, even if I know zero about the subject. I'm like going, man, that's just some really wild concept that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that guy to be over the top when I meet him.
Yeah.
If I ever met, you know, I'm not, first of all, I'm never going to meet people that are on Joe Rogan's podcast, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I think someone like you, I would expect you to be the same if I met you in the hallway after.
And I don't know if that's the, you know, in a way like super effective, but we're talking about actually being on a stage and everything. Like, you know, people call you Cash Flow Mike. I'm Blaine. That's what like. Hey, that's
speaking of that, right? So speaking of that, Courtney and I went to Vegas before the pandemic, and we got tickets to go see Carrot Top, right? And I don't know what you think of him as a comedian or whatever. The guy's hilarious. So he has just this weird way of taking concepts and making them into prop. He's a prop comic. But they had a special on the VIP tickets, like going, hey, pay a little extra. You get to meet Carrot Top, have a drink or whatever in this room before the show. I'm going, oh, yeah, I'll do that. We go in there. Carrot Top, who's fantastic on the stage, so in tune, so interactive, so engaged.
Yeah.
Super awkward in person.
Oh, really?
hard to talk to. Like it was weird. And it isn't just there, because then I heard him on Joe Rogan, and he's not that great as just interacting as a one-on-one. Okay. But you put that guy on a stage and he is just magnificent. He is one of the best on the stage I've seen. And he makes you feel like you're super special sitting in an audience. Yeah. Standing next to him, he'll make you feel really weird.
So question here. Did you get an autograph?
Oh yeah, got pictures with him and everything. I got the works. He actually super nice. I'm just saying awkward because, you know, dude, he's meeting two strangers, right? He don't know. Yeah. He don't. We could be weirdos for all. I mean, we were, but but it's one of those things where it's like going, okay, we're here. Oh, and here's the other thing. There were no other people that bought the package, just me and Courtney. So then you put a guy, like him in a room, and he comes to this VIP room, and they go, oh, it's just Mike and Courtney.
That's kind of fun. You know, I guess the reason I ask is because I haven't got an autograph from anybody since I was probably like 10 years old. And I don't know why, but if I had walked in there, I'd want to sit down, have a chat, have a beer with somebody. I don't think I've never asked for an autograph. I don't know why. Like I would feel weird because it's just like, well, I just met you. Yeah, you're a cool guy. Why would I want you to sign something? I don't know. It's weird, right?
Well, no, we didn't ask for it. It's part of the package.
Part of the package.
That he goes and he's got a little manager or, you know, assistant that comes up with a photo of him, and the photo's kind of cool, right? It's a Carrot Top on the side of a road in Nevada hitchhiking, but he's got these short shorts and the guy's beef jacked up like crazy with a cowboy hat. And it says to Mike and Courtney, from Carrot Top. But it was part of the package. So we didn't ask for it. It just came with it.
Oh, no, I was wondering because, some people they seem to meet people on autographs all the time and pictures of them and stuff. And then I never even think of it. And it's just I was just kind of curious because I never feel like I would feel really awkward. I'm like, I just met you. You're a normal person. It'd be weird for me to ask, right? Like I just never even think of it.
All the autographs I've ever gotten have been like accidental. Like I have a book over here, the Oliver North book, Mission Accomplished. Compromised. Mission Compromised. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's because I ran into him. I ran that hotel staffing company and I ran into him in the hotel lobby bar. And I'm like, hey, it's Oliver North. I'm at least going to say, hey, Colonel, how are you? And I talked to him a little bit. And this is like early 2000s, maybe 2002, 3. So I don't remember the exact year, but that's about the time frame. And we talked and he asked me, well, were you in the military? And I told him my story and some deployments and what I'd done. And he turns to his person that was with him and goes, hey, go get him a book. The guy runs off, gets a book, comes back. He autographs it to me, to Mike, a real hero or something like that. And Oliver North. And I'm like going, that was kind of cool, but it was like an accidental autograph.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really it's because I said hi, but I said hi. I'm like going, I'm standing next to him. I mean, I'm like, I'm that guy. I'm like, well, if I'm standing next to you and I recognize him, at least go, hey man, what's going on?
Yeah. The last, and this is going back quite a while, but I got the last and probably the only signature I remember in years got a Mario Andretti's signature at a race. And it's just because we were walking by and I guess he had a table set up and people were about to line up to get autographs. And we looked and I went, hey, that's Mario Andretti. And then we kind of went and stood there and then he just started signing stuff. I'm like, well, that's kind of,
oh, that's really cool.
Kind of cool. But I just never would think of it. And, on the other side, that's really weird is have had people ask to sign my book. And I always sign them when I send them away. But because now I know it's like, well, that's kind of a neat thing to do. But the first time someone asked me to sign my book and it just felt like, okay, well, that's super cool, like kind of fun. But I felt really kind of awkward. Like, what do I write? Like, yes, I wrote this. Blaine, right? Like I didn't even know really what to write.
I bet you don't read it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like some people are so eloquent, they know exactly what to do. And I'm like, I don't even really know what to put here. But weird.
So I put something funny the other day and it was all right. So we had friends over at the house and I've got a couple books here. And one of the guys goes, hey, can I have one of your books? I'm like, yeah. I said, he goes, you want to sign it? I'm like going, yeah, what the hell, man? I've only had 2 people in the world ask me to sign it. But I said, what do you want me to sign? He goes, I want you to sign the exact same thing you said to me when I came in your house. I said, well, I don't remember what that was.
Take your shoes off.
He goes, you told me if I wasn't comfortable getting my own beer, we couldn't be friends.
Nice. There you go. That's perfect.
That's why I signed in his book.
You should sign every book that way. That is that should be like your thing because it's awesome.
Oh, that was funny. But all right, but now we're talking about celebrity. You talk about being on stage, right?
Yeah.
If you're recognized by people, that's a whole different level than with your employees, your customers, maybe your investors, maybe just the Chamber of Commerce. It's a whole different level if you can go into another environment.
Yeah.
Hotel, a different city, a different country, and people recognize you. Right.
I don't think I've experienced that. But you probably have as casual Mike.
But we've experienced the other side where we've recognized people, right? And you can't help but think, what is it like, right, to be under that much, when they say the eyes of the public are always on you, that's those people, right? They cannot do even regular things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Can't go to grocery stores, can't go just hang out, at a bar and sit there. But they can, but it's weird, right? They have to expect a certain amount of interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be really, really odd. And the the celebrities that we see that I think are under the most pressure for where I'm from in Edmonton is the hockey players with the Oilers, because it's just like hockey's like a religion there. Yeah. And I don't know, that would be a challenge, man. That'd be a challenge. You couldn't even leave your house without, people won't swarm you, but you're like, everybody's watching every single thing you do. And so the odd time when I'll be out and about and I'll see like one of the hockey players, I'm like, I won't even sort of look at them. I don't want to acknowledge them, because I'm like, that's all they get all day is people staring at them. It must drive them bonkers. Like, just, they can't go anywhere without people all over them.
Yeah. And I'm guilty as a guy. I'm the guy that says something, right? So we were in, I think we went to Pasadena or Anaheim or something like that, but we went out to Newport Beach to this, I think it's called Red Wolf, or there's it's a Mexican style restaurant out in Newport Beach. And we're there, and all these people are like looking back over my shoulder this way. I'm sitting at the bar, and there's some booths along the side. And I'm like, what the hell are people looking at? And so Courtney looks over and he goes, I don't know anybody. And then she recognizes the guy sitting in the corner, and it was Jim Edmonds from, I say, the St. Louis Cardinals. She says like Real Housewives. I'm like going, what? What do you mean Real Housewives? He's on that. No, that's Jim Edmonds. He was the center fielder of the Cardinals. I know that guy. And, I'm a lifelong Cardinals fan, you know. Yeah. And she goes, don't go talk to him. I'm like going, all right, I won't yet. But I said, if he's still there, he's right behind the door where we have to walk out. If he's still there, I'm going to talk to him. Well, he's tucked back in the back of the booth. I'm not going to be that guy and be, trying to get to him behind the booth. By fate, as we're walking towards the door, he gets up from the booth and stands in the aisleway where I'm at, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with him. Yeah. We're right next to each other. Hey, Jim, I'm Mike, man, big time fan. I'm from St. Louis. That's all I said. And exchanged pleasantries and went. But I can't imagine if that happened to you 50, 100 times a day, that might be high, but I don't know if that happened.
Maybe they get used to it. I don't know, but it'd be really, feels like it'd be really challenging. And but like there's one friend of mine, Gary. He used to fly all over North America, and he would see celebrities on the planes like all the time, right? And he would always like phone or text and it's like, I just sat next to like, and he was just it was different. It seemed like once a week he was sitting next to a celebrity and like on the plane and talking away. And he was the opposite, but he was just that, he was that guy. He's in the neighborhood. He's always talking with everybody and knows everybody, but he's that personality. And it's like, man, that guy gets some really great conversations with people because that's just who he is. And I'm not wired that way, right? But he'd be like, it was hilarious. Some of the people, he's like, I sat next to Don Cherry and I talked, and it'll be like, I'll talk to them for an hour and a half. Like, it's just these great conversations. It's amazing.
Here's my problem is I probably wouldn't recognize you. I mean, if you're famous, I could probably sit right next to you and not recognize you. I'm terrible at that. Unless it's somebody, that I had an interest in, you're super obvious. Yeah. If you're, I don't know.
I got to tell you because this was one of the funny ones that reminds me so much of Courtney talking about the Jim Edmonds. When we were at a race one time and we were in the paddock area, and Paul Newman went by us on a scooter, like almost ran us over, kind of by us on the scooter. And my wife looked and went and said, is that the salad dressing guy? And I'm like, no, it's Paul Newman. Do you not know Paul Newman? The salad dressing guy. I was just like, oh my God.
That's so funny. That's funny. So, all right. So what we started out talking about today was, as a business owner, you're kind of always on stage. And I guess it evolved into celebrity, but in a sense, they're business owners. And just
I don't know. We went all over the place today. It was a little bit off track, but I don't know. Interesting.
You think? I don't think so, because we stayed around. I mean, if you're talking to customers, you're on the stage. There's a way you need to present yourself. There's a way that they're looking to you, right? They're looking to you.
Well, and it is like, there is some celebrity, because as the first thing you kicked off with is when you walked into your bar, you were a celebrity. That is why they wanted to talk with you, right? And you know what's interesting is it's you, because you were the owner and you went around, but you know, like you said, you could have a staff member that has just got that energy that everybody wants to talk to.
Exactly.
Now
Right.
they're the celebrity, and it's the exact same thing being kind of celebrity. So I guess we did, kind of come full circle with that. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then with your employees, I mean, they look to you for leadership. I mean, and leadership is kind of all encompassing, but it's motivational, it's inspirational, and it's driven, right?
Yeah.
It's we have to accomplish a task, but part of the inspiration and motivation accomplishes the result, right?
Yeah.
That's part of it. So you're kind of
Yeah,
on
for
stage
sure.
with them, and they feed off your energy. If you're a fuddy-duddy and you're always in a bad mood, well, they're not going to want to be around you, kind of like the example we gave out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and then lastly, just investors, same way. If you're trying to raise money, if you're trying to support the people that gave you money, you have to be on stage with them, right? They
Oh
can't
yeah.
see one way
Yeah.
with their money and another way, in your real life. So I
Yeah.
mean, we talked about real lives, work-life balances last time, but I think what we come full circle on is I kind of have to be me all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of have to be me all the time. And hopefully you isn't the type of person that people don't like.
Oh God. That makes it a real challenge. Yeah.
Well, I mean, most people that get into business, they're pretty likable, right? They know that their role is to sell, right? That's kind of what we all try to do. So what would you take away?
Well, I think the it's just a good reminder that you sort of have to be on. You have to be on all the time, and put away the stresses and everything else that's going on, and make sure that you're always painting that vision and driving the team. And then you're out and about and you're talking with clients. You can be thrown into that situation anytime, any day, and you have to be on and telling the story. Sharing your story. That's the big part, is keep them engaged, and story is a great way to do it.
All right. Well, there's another one in the books, number 28. And you've been listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And if you haven't done so, go to our website, mikeandblaine.com. We now have a merch store. You can buy us a beer. I think Blaine also takes time to put all these on video on YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah, always. They're always on YouTube too. So you can watch us chatter away and drink our beer while we're on the podcast.
Wouldn't that be fun just to watch somebody drink beer?
That'll be our our 50th episode.
Yeah.
Well, it'll just be us drinking beer. No talking even. We'll just sit and sip and drink our beer.
I have an idea for that. Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. All right. Number 28 is in the books. Thank you for listening to us. You've been listening to Mike and Blaine, and go see us. Come check us out. Buy us a beer, buy our merch, and tell us what you want to hear, right? Tell us what you want to hear. That's more important. So if you don't like it, if you think we should shut it down, tell us that. If you like it, you want us to talk about something else, tell us that too.
Yeah. And we good chance we'll ignore both. We'll listen to the suggestions. We want to talk about things. If you tell us to shut it down, I don't think we'll bother with you. But mikeandblaine.com, visit us there.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you next time.
All right. Looking forward to it.